Festina lente, or as it is said in your tongue, make haste slowly. I, the Mediterranean Sea, have borne witness to the truth of this saying many times over. Many sailors have tried to pass across the seas too hastily, not exercising caution, and so their ships were pulled down into the depths of my wine-blue waters, consumed by my hungry white-capped waves. Clever Odysseus, who journeyed across these waters, was often hampered by the rashness of his men, and suffered much for their hastiness. Good things come to those who do not rush, who proceed with caution. Circumspect Penelope, the wife of Odysseus, waited for many years with great patience for his return. Dressed in a burgundy gown, overlaid with copper-colored lace, she did not rush to marry one of her many suitors, but was slow and cautious about her choices, and so spent her days in happiness after her husband's return. Those on my southern shore in Africa know the value of hurrying slowly as well as the Greeks do. My sister, the river Nile, who flows through Egypt, has seen and suffered from the folly of those who were over-hasty. Phaethon, the foolish mortal who was attempted to drive the chariot of the sun, passed over Egypt, reflected in the sweet green waters of the Nile. His father Helios had hastily sworn to give Phaethon anything he wished, not knowing that he wished to drive his chariot. And so, thanks to Helios' hastiness, the whole world suffered and was burnt. My sister, the Nile, her crown of reeds and ostrich feathers set aflame, could only bear to see the destruction, and hid her head beneath a veil of sand. Her head remains hidden to this day, the result of Helios' quick but poor decision. To the west of Egypt, there's a city on the northern coast of Africa called Carthage. The founder of Carthage, Queen Dido, also reaped the sorrows of hastiness. Aeneas, fleeing Troy, found himself in Carthage, where he met Queen Dido. She, prompted by Juno and Venus, fell hastily in love with him. It matters not that her hastiness was not her own fault, for the sorrows that befell her were not punishments for, but for the consequences of her hastiness. Aeneas left her, and in despair she clad herself in royal robes of purple, crimson, and gold, and threw herself upon a burning pyre. Her golden hair, shining crown, and rich bracelets of precious stone were all consumed by the flames and turned to ash. For not hastening slowly, she is condemned to be a shadow of who she once was, remaining forever in the underworld. Near Dido in the underworld lies my sister, the river Styx, the hateful river, the river by which the gods swear their oaths. Semele and Phaethon both died for oaths sworn thoughtlessly and hastily in her name. Those who do not hasten slowly often suffer death as Dido did, and they pass over the black waters of the Styx. Her pale eyes gazing balefully upon them, her polluted, unhealthy waters shine gray and black in the darkness of the underworld. Eurydice died on her wedding day, and in her flame-colored dress adorned with glittering beads, she journeyed into the underworld, crossing the hateful Styx. Her bereaved husband Orpheus chased after her. He persuaded hard-hearted Hades to let his young wife return to the world, but upon one condition. For the entirety of the long journey to the land of the living, he must not look back at Eurydice. He resisted looking at her until he had reached the entrance back into the world above. Then, without thinking, he forgot Eurydice had not yet exited the underworld, and he looked back, only to see her slip away forever into the darkness. Eurydice paid the price for his hastiness, and so did he, for he spent the rest of his days alone. Persephone, goddess of the spring, daughter of Demeter, now bows her head with sorrow instead of dancing carelessly among the fields of flowers as she once did. She was abducted and brought to the underworld by Hades, and there she ate 4 pomegranate seeds. For her hastiness and thoughtlessness in eating the food of the underworld, she is condemned to spend half of every year below the earth as queen of the dead. Dressed in white with plumes of asphodel scattered across her clothing, she walks among the dead. Mankind too suffers for her hasty judgment, which brought to them winter, the cold season where all life is gone from the earth. You may heed my advice or ignore it, but remember that if you proceed without caution and do not make haste slowly, you shall receive neither pity nor mercy, but only death.